have a glass palace. I'm pretty sure that everyone does. Mine is grand, well-groomed, and spectacular. It was mine because I am a musician. When I was 3 years old, I stood up in front of an audience for the first time and I sang, "Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head." I was special and I was talented. This was the first block of my palace. I didn't do bedtime stories when I was little. I wanted my mom and dad to sing something to me before bed. I started piano lessons when I was 6 years old and I wrote my first song at 7. I started competing at 8 and I never got anything less than second place. More blocks because I'm special and I'm talented. I started playing the cello when I was 12 and I quickly rose to be one of the best in my school because of my previous musical knowledge. I competed on it as well, and I never got anything less than second place because I'm special and I'm talented. But I had a thirst that couldn't be quenched. I needed more. I picked up the guitar, the ukulele, the violin, the bass, and the drums, and I loved to tell everybody about all of the instruments I played because they would come back and tell me how special I was, how talented, and how unique. More blocks for my palace. I went from writing songs on the piano to writing songs for cello, guitar, and eventually full-on orchestral scores. I had choirs and orchestras performing my songs because I am special and I am unique. Before I knew it, it was time for me to audition for Sterling Scholar. Sterling Scholar is an award that is given to the very best in various different categories in the school. I would be competing in instrumental music. My palace was grand and shining, whole and solid. My mom was Sterling Scholar when she was in school, and I was special and talented, so I knew that I would have no issues. I put together a portfolio of over 10 years of awards, ribbons, and compositions. I picked a piece that would really show off my talent, and I prepared. But of course, I'm special and talented, so I don't need to work as hard as everybody else. I never did. I practiced for about a week and went in feeling confident. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I entered the music room to a scene that I had thrived in my entire life. There was a panel of 3 judges smiling respectfully at me, poised with their pencils to take notes. I was thrilled to take them on a tour of my palace to show them how amazing it was, how special and how unique. I walked forward and handed them my portfolio, the sum of everything that I was, the result of all of my uniqueness, my talent, the key to my palace. The judge took it from me without even anything but a mild thank you. No comment on how large it was, how many accomplishments I had. Oh well, they were going to look through it later, after I left, so I knew then they would see how special and how talented I was. I announced my piece, and I played to the best of my abilities. I had no worries, because I was special and I was talented. I had this in the bag. I waited for about a week, but I was not the least bit worried. I knew that the judges would see how special and talented I was, and they would pick me, no doubt. Finally, the email appeared in my inbox, and I clicked into it without a second thought. Dear applicant, after careful consideration of all of the talented individuals who auditioned, we have decided that Dallin Christiansen is the best candidate for this opportunity. Thank you to all who auditioned. Our runner-ups are as follows: Amelia Christopherson, Emily Johnston, and Anthony Little. This was the first crack in my palace. But Dallin was my friend. He was talented, exceptional really, so maybe being runner-up to him wasn't that bad. He worked really hard. He probably deserved it, right? I can just hang a painting on this wall and no one will ever see this crack in my palace. Next, I had to audition for the music program at BYU. And I wasn't worried, because I was special and talented and I already had a piece prepared, so how hard could it be? The night before the audition, I pulled up the requirements. Another crack in my palace. There was so much more that I had to do for this that I hadn't realized because I hadn't bothered to look. I ended up frantically practicing for over 12 hours that day, and deep down, I knew that it wasn't enough. Another crack in my palace. I decided that I would audition to a few other schools because surely one of them would recognize how special and how talented I was. So I applied to 6 different schools, and slowly but surely, letter by letter, I got rejected by each one. More cracks in my palace. But something else came in the mail. I had received an academic scholarship to Utah State University. But that didn't make any sense. I wasn't special and talented in academics, so how did I manage that? I decided I would submit one last audition. This audition would be the one to get me into the music education major as well as the symphony here at Utah State. I went in and prepared. I did the best to hide all of the cracks in my increasingly feeble palace, and I knew that this was my last chance. I did my best, and I felt pretty good about my audition. I waited, and eventually the email came. Dear applicant, we regret to inform you that we do not have a spot for you in the music education program nor the symphony. Another crack reverberated through the walls of my fragile palace. I watched in terrible wonder as my life's work, my beautiful palace, came crashing down into an ugly heap on the ground. I'm not special. I'm not talented. But in the middle of it all, I had a thought. I got an academic scholarship. That has to count for something, right? So I frantically scrambled around for all of the non-music related things in my life that made me special and talented, because if I were not those two things, then what was I? But I came to realize something. When I was first chair in my high school orchestra, I was a good leader, the first block. When I got up and I performed my songs, I was good at bearing my soul in front of an audience, another block. I'm kind, I laugh easily, I feel deeply, I'm curious, intelligent, and resilient. I'm a good writer, a good daughter, a good sister, and a good friend. And maybe I wasn't the best in the world, but I am a musician, and that brings me joy. But the most important part is, even if I was bad at everything, and sometimes I feel like I am, I would still be me. Our identities are not our accomplishments. They're not our weight, our height, or the color of our eyes. What makes us who we truly are is our integrity, how we treat others, and what brings us joy in life. Don't let your palace be made up of test scores and trophies, because we're more valuable than that. Thank you.